Hey everyone, today we're exploring the forbidden sleeping habits that could make your life 50% better. Techniques so effective they were once common knowledge but have been completely forgotten by modern society. Despite your expensive mattress, sleep aids and blackout curtains, you still can't get a decent night's rest. You toss and turn, wake up groggy, and spend your days exhausted. You're not alone. 70 million Americans suffer from chronic sleep disorders, spending $15 billion annually on solutions that barely help. But 700 years ago, medieval peasants sleeping on straw achieved something that eludes our most advanced sleep labs: perfect, restorative sleep, every single night. The skeletal evidence tells us exactly how they did it. Before we begin, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what we're doing here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Picture this: you're a 14th century English peasant. Your day begins before dawn, hauling water from the well in freezing temperatures. You spend 12 hours bent over in muddy fields, harvesting grain with primitive tools that leave your hands raw and bleeding. Your dinner is watery porridge and stale bread, if you're lucky. Your home is a single room, shared with your spouse, 3 children, and whatever livestock you own. There's no heating except a small fire that fills the room with smoke, no insulation, no glass windows, just wooden shutters that barely block the howling winter wind. By every measure, your life is harder than anything most modern humans can imagine. You're malnourished, overworked, and constantly threatened by disease, warfare, and starvation. Logic suggests you should be lying awake every night, racked with anxiety and physical discomfort. Yet archaeological evidence tells a completely different story. Excavations at Warren Percy, a medieval village in Yorkshire, reveal sleeping arrangements that produced something remarkable. Analysis of skeletal remains from the site's cemetery shows bone density patterns and muscle attachment sites consistent with people who experienced deep, restorative sleep on a regular basis. The wear patterns on medieval teeth, which serve as biological clocks, indicate consistent sleep-wake cycles that modern sleep labs can only dream of achieving. Dr. Sarah Gilchrist, who led the skeletal analysis at Warren Percy, discovered something that defies explanation. Medieval peasants show none of the stress markers associated with chronic sleep deprivation. Their bones reveal optimal growth hormone release patterns. Their dental records indicate stable circadian rhythms. Their joint health suggests the kind of deep tissue repair that only happens during prolonged slow-wave sleep phases. Compare this to modern skeletal analysis. Contemporary remains show stress fractures from poor sleep posture, dental grinding from nighttime anxiety, and bone density loss associated with insufficient growth hormone release during sleep. We're literally wearing our sleep deprivation in our bones. The medieval advantage becomes even more puzzling when you examine their daily challenges. Manor records from the 13th and 14th centuries detail lives of extraordinary hardship. The Glastonbury Abbey estate rolls describe peasants working from dawn's first light until darkness claims the fields. They faced regular famines, survived brutal winters without adequate heating, and lived under constant threat of disease outbreaks that could kill half a village in months. Yet somehow, these same people who struggled to survive achieved something that eludes our most advanced sleep specialists: consistent, restorative sleep that left them genuinely refreshed each morning. The key lies in 3 revolutionary discoveries that medieval Europeans stumbled upon through necessity, not science. These weren't deliberate sleep optimization strategies. They were survival adaptations that accidentally created the perfect conditions for human sleep biology to function as nature intended. Archaeological evidence from sites across medieval Europe reveals that these peasants had inadvertently solved problems that keep modern sleep researchers awake at night. They discovered how to synchronize their biology with their environment, how to achieve the perfect balance of physical exhaustion and recovery, and how to create sleep surfaces that surpassed anything our modern technology has produced. The skeletal evidence doesn't lie. Medieval peasants slept better than you do. Here's exactly how they did it. The first discovery medieval peasants made was so simple it sounds almost primitive. They went to bed when the sun went down and woke up when it rose. But the archaeological evidence reveals this wasn't just following nature, it was biological engineering of the highest order. Excavations at medieval settlements across England show a consistent pattern in their daily schedules that modern chronobiologists are only now beginning to understand. Church records from Canterbury Cathedral detail the canonical hours that governed peasant life: Vespers at sunset, Compline marking bedtime, and Lauds at dawn signalling the start of work. These weren't arbitrary religious schedules, they were perfectly calibrated to human circadian biology. Consider the daily rhythm of a medieval farmer in winter. Archaeological analysis of hearth ash patterns at the Warren Percy site reveals that fires were banked low by 7 p.m., indicating household bedtime. With no artificial lighting beyond the occasional precious candle, families would settle into complete darkness for 10 to 12 hours. Compare this to your evening routine, scrolling through your phone until midnight, watching television under LED lights, or reading under bright lamps. All activities that flood your brain with blue light spectrum wavelengths that actively suppress melatonin production. Dr. Russell Foster's research at Oxford University has demonstrated that exposure to just 30 minutes of blue light in the evening can delay melatonin release by up to 3 hours. Medieval peasants avoided this entirely. Their evening light sources, when used at all, came from fires and tallow candles that produce warm, amber spectrum light with minimal impact on circadian rhythms. The seasonal adaptation patterns revealed in medieval agricultural records show even more sophisticated biological timing. Manor court rolls from the Ramsey Abbey estates document work schedules that shifted dramatically with the seasons. Summer bedtime moved to 9 p.m. when daylight extended later, while winter brought earlier rest at 6 p.m. Sleep duration naturally expanded and contracted to match available darkness, exactly what modern sleep research indicates is optimal for human biology. Archaeological evidence from medieval dwellings reveals architectural features specifically designed to support this solar synchronization. Excavations at Coltishall in Norfolk uncovered houses with strategically small windows positioned to allow morning light penetration while blocking evening glare. Wooden shutters could be adjusted to fine-tune light exposure throughout the day. These weren't just practical features, they were precision instruments for circadian regulation. The biological impact of this solar synchronization was profound. Modern research by Dr. Kenneth Wright at the University of Colorado found that people exposed to natural light cycles for just 1 week experienced a 30% increase in melatonin production and naturally synchronized their sleep-wake cycles with sunset and sunrise. Medieval peasants lived their entire lives under these conditions. Consider the contrast with modern sleep patterns. The average American experiences 4 to 6 hours of artificial light exposure after sunset, primarily from LED sources that emit high concentrations of blue light. Our bedrooms contain multiple electronic devices with standby lights. Even when we think we're in darkness, light pollution from street lamps and neighboring buildings continues to suppress melatonin production throughout the night. Medieval peasants also discovered the power of dawn awakening without alarm clocks. Manor records indicate that workers naturally rose within minutes of sunrise, regardless of season. Their sleeping areas were positioned to catch the first rays of morning light, triggering natural cortisol release that provided clean, sustainable energy without the crash associated with caffeine dependency. Archaeological analysis of medieval work patterns shows remarkable consistency in morning productivity levels, something modern office workers rarely achieve. The combination of natural light awakening and properly timed melatonin production. The night before created what chronobiologists now recognize as optimal human alertness cycles. Perhaps most remarkably, medieval seasonal sleep adaptation solved a problem that plagues millions of modern humans: seasonal affective disorder. By naturally extending sleep duration during dark winter months and reducing it during bright summers, medieval peasants avoided the biological confusion that comes from maintaining identical sleep schedules year-round under artificial lighting. The skeletal evidence from medieval burial sites confirms this solar synchronization success. Bone growth patterns indicate consistent growth hormone release cycles. dental wear patterns show stable sleep timing. Joint health reflects the kind of deep tissue repair that only occurs during prolonged periods of properly timed rest. Medieval peasants had accidentally discovered what modern sleep labs spend millions trying to recreate: perfect alignment between human biology and environmental light cycles. No technology required, just the wisdom to work with their circadian rhythms instead of against them. The third discovery medieval peasants made would revolutionize the modern sleep industry, if anyone bothered to listen. They created sleep surfaces that provided superior comfort, temperature regulation, and spinal support using nothing more than materials they could gather from their own fields. Archaeological evidence reveals a bedding system so effective that our most advanced sleep laboratories are only now beginning to understand its brilliance. Excavations at the deserted medieval village of Gomeldon in Wiltshire uncovered remarkably preserved sleeping arrangements that challenge everything we think we know about mattress technology. Textile fragments recovered from 14th century house floors reveal a sophisticated layering system that began with fresh straw as the foundation layer. But this wasn't random hay thrown on wooden platforms. Analysis by Dr. Penelope Walton-Rogers at the University of York shows medieval peasants selected specific grass types for optimal firmness and resilience. The straw foundation provided what modern orthopedic specialists call the ideal sleep surface, firm enough to maintain spinal alignment while responsive enough to conform to body contours. Contemporary ergonomic research by Dr. Bert Jacobson at Oklahoma State University demonstrates that medium-firm surfaces reduce back pain and improve sleep quality more effectively than either very soft or very hard alternatives. Medieval peasants had stumbled upon this perfect balance through trial and necessity. Archaeological analysis of preserved medieval textiles reveals the sophisticated layering system built upon this straw foundation. Excavations at Warren Percy show evidence of multiple woolen blankets arranged in specific sequences. Coarse wool closest to the straw provided insulation and prevented uncomfortable poking. Finer wool layers added warmth without weight. The top layer consisted of tightly woven woolen cloth that created a smooth sleeping surface while maintaining breathability. The temperature regulation properties of this natural system exceeded anything modern synthetic materials achieve. Research by Dr. Patricia Brown at the University of Georgia demonstrates that wool naturally wicks moisture while maintaining insulation properties, even when damp, crucial advantages in medieval homes without climate control. Wool's lanolin content provides natural antimicrobial properties that prevented bacterial growth and reduced allergens. Medieval peasants slept on surfaces that actively fought against the dust mites and chemical off-gassing that plague modern mattresses. Estate inventories from Glastonbury Abbey provide detailed records of seasonal bedding management that reveal another layer of sophistication. Fresh straw was gathered and replaced 3 times yearly, after harvest, at midwinter, and before spring planting. This regular refreshing eliminated the accumulated dust, pests, and moisture that would otherwise degrade sleep quality. Modern mattresses, by contrast, accumulate dead skin cells, dust mites, and chemical breakdown products for years without replacement. Archaeological evidence from higher status medieval households shows the addition of linen sheets and herb-stuffed pillows that enhanced the basic system. Excavations at medieval manor houses reveal traces of lavender, chamomile, and sweet woodruff woven into bedding materials. Modern aromatherapy research confirms that these specific herbs measurably improve sleep onset and quality through their documented sedative and anxiolytic properties. The shared sleeping arrangements revealed in archaeological excavations provided an additional comfort advantage that modern sleep science has only recently recognized. Family members sleeping together on wide platforms created natural body heat distribution that maintained optimal sleeping temperatures without external heating. Research by Dr. Helen Ball at Durham University shows that co-sleeping arrangements naturally regulate infant and adult body temperatures more effectively than individual beds, reducing the night wakings caused by temperature fluctuations. Medieval sleeping platform construction reveals impressive engineering designed for optimal support and ventilation. Excavations show raised wooden platforms built 18 to 24 inches above ground level preventing dampness while allowing air circulation beneath sleeping surfaces. The platforms were constructed with slight angles that elevated the head end, promoting drainage and reducing acid reflux, a design principle that modern adjustable beds attempt to replicate with motorized systems. Archaeological analysis of medieval bedding disposal sites reveals the remarkable durability of their natural material system. Unlike modern synthetic mattresses that off-gas toxic compounds and require specialized disposal, medieval bedding materials returned harmlessly to agricultural use. Used straw became compost, worn wool was repurposed for other textile needs, and even the wooden sleeping platforms could be disassembled and reused. The skeletal evidence confirms the effectiveness of this natural sleep system. Medieval remains show none of the spinal compression or pressure point damage associated with poor sleep surfaces. Joint health indicators suggest the kind of restorative rest that only occurs when the body can fully relax without fighting uncomfortable or unsupportive bedding. Medieval peasants had created the perfect sleep surface using materials that cost nothing and could be refreshed regularly, providing comfort and support that modern sleep technology still struggles to match. Medieval peasants achieved perfect sleep through three principles that cost them nothing: complete synchronization with natural light cycles, daily physical exhaustion that earned genuine rest, and natural materials that provided superior comfort without toxic chemicals. No technology required, just biological wisdom we've abandoned for artificial solutions that barely work. But medieval Europeans weren't the only ones who mastered sleep. 1,500 years earlier, ancient Romans faced a completely different challenge: achieving quality rest in crowded, noisy cities filled with artificial schedules and urban chaos. Their engineering solutions to urban sleep problems might revolutionize your bedroom tonight. Picture ancient Rome at its peak, over 1 million people crammed into a city covering just 13 square kilometers. Apartment buildings called insulae rose 6 to 8 stories high, housing families in single rooms stacked like modern tenements. The streets never slept. Cart traffic rumbled through narrow passages, construction crews worked around the clock, and vendors hawked their wares from dawn until midnight. Industrial workshops filled the air with smoke from metalworking, pottery kilns, and leather tanning. The noise was overwhelming, the air quality terrible, and the crowded conditions would make modern city dwellers claustrophobic. By every measure, Rome was a sleep disaster waiting to happen. The city operated on artificial schedules disconnected from natural light cycles. Business hours were determined by commerce and politics, not biological rhythms. Romans worked, shopped, and socialized according to civic clocks rather than solar patterns. They lived in vertical neighborhoods where dozens of families shared thin walls and floors, with no escape from neighbors' conversations, crying babies, or late-night activities. Yet archaeological evidence reveals something extraordinary. Skeletal analysis from Roman urban burial sites shows sleep quality markers that surpass not only their rural contemporaries but most modern city dwellers. Dr. Valerie Higgins' research on Roman remains from London's Spitalfields shows bone density patterns consistent with optimal growth hormone release during deep sleep phases. Joint health indicators suggest the kind of restorative rest that only occurs during prolonged, slow-wave sleep. Dental analysis reveals stable circadian rhythms despite the urban environment's artificial lighting and schedules. Excavations at Ostia Antica, Rome's port city, reveal urban apartment buildings housing hundreds of residents per block. These weren't elite villas. They were working-class housing packed with merchants, craftsmen, and laborers. Yet the architectural evidence shows sophisticated sleep optimization built into even modest accommodations. Room layouts prioritized rest quality over space efficiency. Ventilation systems maintained air quality despite urban pollution. Sound dampening techniques reduced noise transmission between units. The contrast with modern urban sleep becomes even more striking when examining contemporary Roman accounts. Martial's epigrams describe Romans who fell asleep easily despite street noise that would challenge modern noise-cancelling headphones. Pliny the Younger writes matter-of-factly about restful sleep in crowded city houses where privacy was nearly impossible. Juvenal complains about many urban problems, but notably omits insomnia from his extensive list of city grievances. Archaeological analysis of Roman work schedules reveals the scope of their urban sleep achievement. Business tablets from Pompeii show commerce operating from dawn to dusk with minimal seasonal variation. Legal documents indicate court sessions, construction projects, and manufacturing continuing regardless of natural light patterns. Romans had created the world's first truly artificial urban environment, yet somehow maintained superior sleep quality within it. The secret lies in 3 engineering breakthroughs that Romans developed specifically to solve urban sleep challenges. These weren't philosophical approaches to rest like medieval natural alignment. They were technological solutions that conquered the environmental obstacles cities created. Archaeological evidence reveals that Romans had systematically engineered their way to perfect urban sleep through thermal control, temporal scheduling, and architectural design. Modern sleep researchers spend millions trying to solve the same urban challenges Romans faced 2 millennia ago. The skeletal evidence suggests they succeeded where we're still struggling. The first Roman breakthrough was thermal engineering that would impress modern HVAC specialists. They discovered that precise temperature control wasn't just comfort, it was the foundation of superior sleep architecture. Archaeological evidence from across the Roman Empire reveals hypocaust heating systems so sophisticated they achieved optimal sleep temperatures with mathematical precision. Excavations at the Villa of Papyri in Herculaneum uncovered hypocaust systems that maintained bedroom temperatures within the exact range modern sleep science identifies as optimal for deep sleep. The system worked by circulating hot air through hollow spaces beneath raised floors and within wall cavities. But this wasn't crude central heating. It was precision climate control. Archaeological analysis shows adjustable dampers and vents that allowed room-by-room temperature regulation. Residents could fine-tune their sleeping environment to maintain the core body temperature drop necessary for sleep onset. Dr. Roger Ling's excavations at Fishbourne Roman Palace revealed even more sophisticated thermal management. The hypocaust system included multiple heat sources that could be controlled independently. Sleeping chambers featured graduated heating zones, warmer near the walls where occupants first entered, cooler in the center where they slept. This design facilitated the natural body temperature decline that triggers melatonin release and deep sleep phases. The engineering behind hypocaust systems demonstrates remarkable understanding of human thermal physiology. Modern research by Dr. Kurt Kreutzsche at the University of Basel confirms that optimal sleep occurs when ambient temperature allows a 1 to 2 degree drop in core body temperature. Romans achieved this through radiant heating that warmed surfaces without overheating air, exactly what contemporary sleep labs recommend for ideal thermal comfort. Archaeological evidence from Roman Britain shows hypocausts functioning effectively even in harsh northern climates. Excavations at Vindolanda reveal systems that maintained comfortable sleeping temperatures during winters that would challenge modern heating systems. The thermal mass of heated floors and walls provided consistent warmth throughout the night without the temperature fluctuations that fragment sleep. Roman engineers had solved the fundamental thermal challenges that still disrupt urban sleep today. The contrast with pre-Roman heating becomes clear in archaeological comparisons. Celtic and Germanic sleeping areas show evidence of central hearths that created dangerous temperature swings, stifling heat near the fire, freezing cold at the periphery. Smoke infiltration caused air quality problems that modern research links to sleep disruption. Romans eliminated these issues through contained combustion and clean heat delivery that maintained air quality while providing precise thermal control. Roman thermal engineering extended beyond basic heating to humidity and air quality management. Hypocaust systems included ventilation channels that maintained fresh air circulation without creating drafts that disrupt sleep onset. Archaeological analysis of wall construction shows moisture management techniques that prevented the humid conditions associated with poor sleep quality and respiratory problems. The efficiency of Roman thermal systems impressed even their enemies. Germanic tribal leaders who experienced Roman heated buildings often adopted similar technologies. Archaeological evidence from frontier regions shows hypocaust construction spreading beyond Roman territories, carried by craftsmen who recognized the sleep quality advantages of proper thermal control. Modern validation of Roman thermal principles comes from contemporary sleep research, showing that consistent, slightly cool temperatures enhance deep sleep phases while preventing the night wakings caused by temperature fluctuations. Dr. Helen Burgess's research at Rush University demonstrates that even small temperature variations can reduce sleep efficiency by 15 to 20%. Romans had engineered their way around this biological vulnerability through thermal systems that maintained optimal sleeping conditions regardless of external weather or seasonal changes. Archaeological evidence from Pompeii's residential districts reveals that even modest Roman homes incorporated thermal management principles. While not every apartment had full hypocaust systems, excavations show strategic heating placement that prioritized sleeping areas. Wall construction techniques provided thermal mass that stored heat during the day and released it gradually through the night. Romans understood that quality sleep required thermal engineering, not just thermal comfort. The sophistication of Roman thermal control becomes even more remarkable when compared to medieval heating systems that prioritized efficiency over sleep optimization. Romans were willing to invest considerable resources in thermal engineering specifically designed to enhance rest quality. Their hypocaust systems represent the world's first technology developed primarily to optimize sleep through environmental control. The second Roman innovation was cultural engineering that institutionalized optimal sleep timing across their urban empire. They discovered that biphasic sleep wasn't just natural, it was essential for urban productivity and health. Archaeological and literary evidence reveals a sophisticated siesta system that legally mandated midday rest periods throughout Roman civilization. Roman law codified the sexta hora, the sixth hour after dawn, as a protected rest period when most commercial and governmental activities ceased. This wasn't informal tradition, but official policy enforced across the empire. Legal documents from Pompeii show business contracts that specifically accommodate midday closure requirements. Court schedules built mandatory breaks into legal proceedings. Even military regulations included siesta provisions for urban garrisons. Martial's epigrams provide detailed documentation of Roman siesta culture that reveals sophisticated understanding of circadian biology. He describes the sixth hour as the natural time when bodies demand rest and minds seek relief from morning labors. Roman scheduling recognized what modern chronobiology confirms. Humans experience a natural alertness dip in early afternoon that optimal sleep timing should accommodate rather than fight. Archaeological evidence from Roman commercial districts shows urban planning designed around siesta requirements. Excavations at Ostia reveal market squares with covered areas specifically constructed for midday rest. Public buildings included spaces dedicated to afternoon sleep that were separate from nighttime accommodations. Romans built siesta infrastructure into their cities rather than treating midday rest as personal luxury. The biological benefits of Roman siesta timing align perfectly with modern polyphasic sleep research. Dr. Sara Mednick's studies at UC San Diego demonstrate that 20 to 30-minute naps taken 6 to 8 hours after morning awakening enhance cognitive performance, memory consolidation, and evening sleep quality. Romans had stumbled upon the optimal biphasic schedule through cultural trial rather than scientific method. Roman siesta culture extended beyond individual rest to family and household management. Literary sources describe coordinated household schedules where domestic activities paused during the sixth hour. Archaeological evidence from residential excavations shows sleeping arrangements designed for both nighttime rest and midday naps. Roman homes included multiple rest spaces that accommodated different family members' siesta needs without disrupting each other. The contrast with contemporary Germanic and Celtic cultures becomes stark in comparative analysis. Archaeological evidence from non-Roman settlements shows continuous work patterns without systematic rest periods. Roman travelers' accounts describe barbarian tribes that work through natural alertness dips creating the afternoon fatigue and evening overstimulation that modern sleep research links to poor nighttime rest quality. Roman military adoption of siesta culture provides evidence of its practical benefits beyond civilian comfort. Military documents describe improved afternoon alertness and reduced evening behavioral problems in units that maintained proper midday rest schedules. Archaeological evidence from frontier forts shows rest areas designed specifically for siesta use, suggesting Romans considered biphasic sleep a strategic advantage rather than cultural preference. The economic impact of Roman siesta culture reveals sophisticated understanding of productivity optimization through rest management. Business records from Pompeii show that merchants who maintained proper siesta schedules achieved higher afternoon and evening sales volume compared to those who worked continuously. Romans had discovered that strategic rest improved rather than reduced economic productivity. Modern research validates the Roman approach through studies of Mediterranean cultures that maintained siesta traditions. Dr. Dimitrios Trikopoulos' research in Greece shows 30% reduction in coronary mortality among populations practicing regular midday rest. NASA studies demonstrate 34% improvement in pilot alertness following 26-minute afternoon naps. Romans had institutionalized these benefits across their entire urban civilization. Archaeological evidence suggests Roman siesta culture influenced sleep quality beyond the immediate rest period. Household schedules that accommodated midday rest created more relaxed evening routines that enhanced nighttime sleep onset. Literary sources describe Romans who fell asleep easily at night, partly because their afternoon rest had satisfied biological rest requirements without interfering with nocturnal sleep architecture. The decline of siesta culture following Roman collapse coincides with documented increases in urban sleep disorders throughout medieval Europe. Archaeological evidence shows post-Roman cities abandoning the infrastructure and scheduling that supported biphasic sleep patterns. Romans had created the cultural technology necessary for optimal urban sleep timing, technology that subsequent civilizations largely abandoned. The third Roman breakthrough was architectural engineering that created perfect sleep environments within crowded urban buildings. They discovered that bedroom design wasn't about luxury. It was about acoustic isolation, air quality management, and psychological security. Archaeological evidence reveals cubicular construction techniques so sophisticated they solved urban sleep challenges that still frustrate modern city planners. Excavations at Pompeii's residential districts show cubicular, dedicated sleeping chambers designed with acoustic engineering principles that modern sound control specialists struggle to match. Wall construction included multiple techniques for noise reduction, double wall systems with air gaps, sound-absorbing materials between structural elements, and strategic positioning away from street-facing walls. Archaeological analysis reveals that even modest Roman apartments prioritized acoustic isolation for sleeping areas over space efficiency or construction cost. The House of the Faun excavations demonstrate Roman understanding of acoustic physics that wouldn't be formally documented until the 19th century. Cubicula were positioned in building cores where they were buffered by other rooms from external noise sources. Doorway placement created acoustic baffles that prevented sound transmission from public areas. Ceiling height and room proportions followed ratios that modern acoustic engineers recognize as optimal for sound dampening. Dr. Penelope Allison's research on Pompeian house layouts reveals that Romans consistently sacrificed valuable urban real estate to create proper sleeping environments. Cubicula occupied prime interior positions that could have housed additional family members or generated rental income. This architectural prioritization suggests Romans understood that sleep quality was more valuable than space maximization, a principle modern urban developers rarely follow. Roman acoustic engineering extended to innovative wall construction techniques revealed in archaeological cross-sections. Excavations show walls filled with pottery shards, pumice, and other sound-absorbing materials that reduced noise transmission between apartments. These weren't decorative elements but functional acoustic insulation that created quiet sleeping zones within noisy urban buildings. Roman engineers had developed sound control technology specifically designed to optimize sleep environments. The psychological benefits of cubicular design align with modern environmental psychology research on sleep spaces. Roman sleeping chambers were small, enclosed spaces that promoted the sense of security necessary for deep sleep onset. Dr. Russell Foster's research at Oxford demonstrates that humans sleep better in smaller, enclosed environments that activate parasympathetic nervous system responses associated with rest and recovery. Romans had accidentally created optimal sleep psychology through architectural design. Archaeological evidence from Roman Britain shows cubicular construction adapted to different climates while maintaining core acoustic and psychological principles. Excavations at villa sites revealed sleeping chambers with adjustable ventilation systems that maintained air quality without compromising sound isolation. Romans developed regionally adapted architectural solutions that addressed local environmental challenges while preserving universal sleep optimization features. The contrast with pre-Roman sleeping arrangements becomes clear in comparative archaeological analysis. Celtic and Germanic settlements show large communal sleeping areas where privacy and acoustic isolation were nearly impossible. Roman cubicular represented a revolutionary shift toward recognizing sleep as requiring dedicated environmental design rather than shared space accommodation. Roman innovation in sleep environment design included sophisticated ventilation systems that maintained air quality without creating acoustic leaks. Archaeological excavations reveal air channels built into walls that provided fresh air circulation while maintaining sound isolation. These systems prevented the stale air and poor oxygen levels that modern research links to sleep disruption and morning grogginess. The construction quality of Roman cubicular suggests significant resource investment in sleep environment optimization. Archaeological analysis shows careful selection of building materials, precise construction techniques, and ongoing maintenance that prioritized sleep space preservation. Romans treated bedroom construction as specialized engineering rather than general building, recognizing that sleep quality required dedicated technical expertise. Modern acoustic research validates Roman cubicular design principles through studies showing that noise reduction below 30 decibels significantly improves sleep quality and duration. Dr. Matthias Basner's research demonstrates that urban noise above this threshold fragments sleep architecture and reduces restorative sleep phases. Roman acoustic engineering consistently achieved sound control levels that met these modern sleep optimization standards. Archaeological evidence from Roman commercial buildings shows that acoustic engineering principles extended beyond residential construction to temporary sleeping accommodations. Inn and hotel excavations reveal room designs that provided acoustic isolation for travelers who needed quality rest in unfamiliar urban environments. Romans understood that sleep quality was essential for economic productivity and designed their cities accordingly. The decline of Roman acoustic engineering following imperial collapse coincides with documented increases in urban sleep disorders throughout medieval Europe. Archaeological evidence shows post-Roman construction abandoning the specialized techniques that created quiet sleeping environments. Romans had developed architectural technology specifically designed to solve urban sleep challenges, technology that took over a millennium to redevelop. Romans conquered urban sleep through engineering, precise thermal control that maintained optimal sleeping temperatures, culturally mandated rest periods that worked with circadian biology, and dedicated sleep spaces designed for acoustic isolation. They proved that superior sleep isn't about escaping cities, it's about designing cities that work with human biology. But Roman engineering wasn't the final word on sleep mastery. Across the world in Japan, an island nation developed something even more sophisticated: the ability to adapt sleep perfectly to any environment or season through micro-environmental control that puts our climate technology to shame. Imagine trying to achieve perfect sleep on an island where summer temperatures reach 35 degrees Celsius with 80% humidity, winter nights drop below freezing, and monsoon seasons dump months of constant rain while earthquakes can strike without warning. Add the constraint of limited space where entire families must sleep in rooms smaller than most modern closets, using only materials available on a resource-constrained island. This was the challenge facing inhabitants of medieval Japan. And somehow they turned these impossible constraints into the most sophisticated sleep adaptation system in human history. Archaeological evidence from Edo period sites reveals sleeping arrangements that had to function across environmental extremes that would defeat modern climate control systems. Excavations at traditional house sites in Kyoto show living spaces that transformed completely between seasons, with sleeping configurations that adapted to summer heat, winter cold, spring humidity, and autumn dryness. These weren't different rooms for different seasons. They were the same small spaces engineered to provide optimal sleep regardless of external conditions. Dr. Kazuo Nishi's research on traditional Japanese architecture reveals the scope of this adaptive challenge. Historical records from the Tokugawa period document households that experienced 40-degree temperature swings between summer and winter nights, humidity variations from bone-dry to completely saturated air, and seismic activity that required sleeping arrangements stable enough to protect occupants during earthquakes. Modern sleep labs struggle to optimize rest under controlled conditions. Japanese families achieved superior sleep while adapting to environmental chaos. Contemporary accounts from Dutch traders in the 17th century describe Japanese sleeping practices with amazement. Jan Ving Boons wrote detailed reports to the Dutch East India Company describing Japanese families who slept soundly through conditions that left European visitors awake all night. Portuguese missionary Luís Frois documented Japanese sleep quality that surpassed anything he had witnessed in Europe, despite living conditions that seemed impossibly constraining to Western observers. The biological evidence of Japanese sleep success appears in health records preserved from the Edo period. Medical documents describe population health indicators that modern epidemiologists recognize as markers of consistent, restorative sleep. Low rates of what we now identify as sleep-related disorders, exceptional longevity despite harsh living conditions, and cognitive performance levels that supported the complex social and economic systems of Tokugawa Japan. Archaeological analysis of Japanese sleeping spaces reveals the fundamental insight that drove their success. They had discovered that optimal sleep wasn't about controlling the environment. It was about adapting perfectly to environmental changes. Rather than fighting seasonal variations, they developed systems that turned climate extremes into sleep advantages. Instead of creating static comfort, they engineered dynamic responses that maintained optimal rest conditions regardless of external chaos. The contrast with contemporary Chinese and Korean sleeping practices becomes clear in comparative analysis. Archaeological evidence from mainland Asia shows more static sleeping arrangements that prioritize durability over adaptability. Japanese innovations represented a revolutionary approach that treated sleep environment as a fluid, responsive system rather than fixed architecture. Modern sleep research validates the Japanese understanding that adaptive flexibility produces superior results to static optimization. Dr. Helen Burgess's studies at Rush University demonstrate that people who regularly adjust their sleep environment to match seasonal and daily variations achieve better sleep quality than those who maintain identical conditions year-round. Japanese had institutionalized this adaptive principle across their entire culture 3 centuries before Western science discovered its importance. The foundation of Japanese sleep mastery was a modular system so sophisticated it makes modern adjustable beds look primitive. The tatami futon combination represented precision sleep engineering that could be reconfigured daily to match exact environmental conditions and individual needs. Archaeological analysis of preserved tatami mats reveals construction techniques that created the perfect sleep surface through natural materials and mathematical precision. Traditional tatami construction involved weaving igusa rushes over a compressed rice straw core, creating a surface that provided firm support while maintaining breathability and moisture regulation. Dr. Takeshi Inomata's analysis of preserved Edo period tatami shows these weren't crude floor coverings but precision instruments for sleep optimization. The rush weaving patterns created microchannels for air circulation. The rice straw core provided exactly the right density for spinal support, while allowing moisture wicking that prevented humidity buildup during Japan's oppressive summers. The modular nature of tatami mats allowed precise customization of sleeping surfaces. Archaeological evidence from traditional houses shows tatami arrangements that could be reconfigured to create different firmness levels, sizes and orientations based on seasonal needs and individual preferences. A single room could transform from a firm summer sleeping surface to a softer winter arrangement simply by repositioning and layering mats. Modern adjustable mattress systems attempt to recreate this flexibility through mechanical complexity. Japanese achieved it through elegant simplicity. Futon construction revealed even more sophisticated understanding of sleep surface optimization. Analysis of preserved Edo period futons shows cotton batting arranged in precise layers that could be adjusted for different seasonal requirements. Summer futons used minimal filling arranged in patterns that maximized air circulation. Winter versions employed thicker batting in configurations that retained body heat while preventing overheating. Archaeological textile analysis reveals regional variations that adapted basic futon principles to specific local climate challenges. The ergonomic benefits of floor sleeping on tatami surfaces align with modern orthopedic research, showing superior spinal health outcomes compared to elevated mattress systems. Dr. Kenzo Koga's studies at Tokyo University demonstrate that sleeping on firm, slightly yielding surfaces like traditional tatami promotes optimal spinal alignment while reducing pressure points. The slight give of the rice straw core provides enough conformity for comfort, while maintaining the support necessary for proper bone and muscle recovery during sleep. Japanese understanding of sleep surface temperature regulation exceeded anything achieved by modern memory foam or cooling gel technologies. The natural materials in tatami and futon systems created what textile engineers now call a microclimate. A thin layer of air around the body maintained at optimal temperature through material properties rather than mechanical systems. The Igusa Rush surface wicked moisture away from skin contact. The rice straw core provided insulation that could be adjusted through seasonal mat arrangements. Cotton futon batting allowed precise thermal control through layer management. Archaeological evidence from merchant households shows tatami and futon systems that functioned effectively across Japan's extreme regional climate variations. Preserved examples from northern Honshu reveal adaptations for severe winter conditions, while southern Kyushu variations show modifications for subtropical humidity. Japanese had developed regionally customized versions of their core sleep technology that maintained optimal performance regardless of local environmental challenges. The space efficiency of tatami futon systems demonstrates Japanese mastery of multifunctional design that modern small space living struggles to match. Archaeological house layouts show rooms that served as living areas during the day and transformed into sleeping spaces at night through futon arrangement. The same space might accommodate different numbers of sleepers based on family needs or seasonal requirements. Japanese had solved the fundamental urban challenge of achieving quality sleep in minimal space through adaptive rather than static design. Modern sleep research validates Japanese intuitions about natural material superiority for sleep surfaces. Dr. Patricia Brown's textile studies at the University of Georgia show that natural fibers like cotton and plant materials outperform synthetic alternatives for temperature regulation and moisture management. The antimicrobial properties of Igusa rushes and the breathability of rice straw create healthier sleep environments than petroleum-based mattress materials that can off-gas chemicals and trap moisture. The durability and maintenance aspects of tatami futon systems reveal another dimension of Japanese sleep wisdom. Archaeological evidence shows these systems lasting decades with proper care compared to modern mattresses that require replacement every 7 to 10 years. Regular sun drying and seasonal rotation maintained optimal performance while preventing the dust mite accumulation and material degradation that plague contemporary bedding. Japanese had created sustainable sleep technology that improved with proper maintenance rather than degrading over time. Japanese sleep mastery reached its peak in their systematic seasonal adaptation strategies that transformed environmental extremes into sleep advantages. They had discovered that fighting climate variations was futile. The secret was engineering precise responses that turned each season's challenges into opportunities for enhanced rest quality. Archaeological and historical evidence reveals adaptation techniques so sophisticated they anticipate modern chronobiology by centuries. Summer sleep strategies address Japan's oppressive heat and humidity through engineering solutions that modern air conditioning systems struggle to match. Historical records from Kyoto merchant families describe sleeping arrangements that achieved comfort during nights when temperatures remained above 30 degrees Celsius with humidity approaching 100%. The key was elevation and air circulation management through architectural features specifically designed for hot weather sleep optimization. Archaeological evidence from Edo period houses shows summer sleeping platforms raised 30 to 40 centimeters above floor level, creating air circulation channels that drew cool air beneath sleeping areas. Traditional bamboo pillow construction provided natural cooling for the head and neck through materials that conducted heat away from the body while maintaining comfortable support. Bamboo's cellular structure created natural air pockets that prevented heat retention while wicking moisture from skin contact. Strategic ventilation management turned oppressive summer humidity into a sleep advantage through precise control of air movement. Historical house construction shows sliding door systems that could be adjusted to create specific airflow patterns across sleeping areas. Archaeological analysis reveals that summer sleeping arrangements positioned occupants to maximize cross-ventilation while maintaining privacy and security. Japanese had learned to orchestrate air movement like a musical instrument, creating cooling effects that made sleep possible during conditions that would challenge modern climate control. Winter adaptation strategies reveal even more sophisticated environmental manipulation that transformed bitter cold into optimal sleep conditions. Historical records describe sleeping arrangements that maintained comfortable warmth during nights when outside temperatures dropped well below freezing, using only radiant heat from central Irori hearths and strategic insulation management. The Irori system provided what modern heating engineers now recognize as superior radiant warmth that heated surfaces and objects rather than air, creating consistent temperatures without the drafts and humidity problems associated with modern forced air systems. Archaeological excavations show Irori placement calculated to provide even heat distribution across family sleeping areas while maintaining air quality through sophisticated ventilation design that prevented smoke accumulation. Layered insulation techniques using multiple futon layers created customizable warmth that could be adjusted throughout the night as body temperature and external conditions changed. Historical textile analysis shows winter futon arrangements that trapped body heat in precisely controlled layers while allowing moisture wicking that prevented the overheating and sweating that disrupts sleep quality. Japanese had discovered the principle of graduated insulation that modern outdoor gear manufacturers now use in high-performance sleeping systems. Monsoon season adaptations address the unique challenges of extended high humidity periods that can last for months across much of Japan. Archaeological evidence shows construction techniques and material selections specifically designed to maintain sleep quality during conditions that promote mold growth, material degradation, and respiratory problems that disrupt rest. Traditional materials proved superior to modern alternatives for humidity management through natural properties that actively regulate moisture without mechanical intervention. Tatami mats and paper wall panels absorbed excess humidity during wet periods and released it during drier conditions, creating natural humidity buffering that maintained optimal sleeping conditions. The antimicrobial properties of natural materials prevented the mold and bacterial growth that modern synthetic materials struggle to control in high humidity environments. Regional climate adaptation reveals the sophistication of Japanese environmental response systems across different geographical challenges. Archaeological evidence from mountainous regions shows cold weather adaptations, while coastal area excavations reveal modifications for high humidity and salt air exposure. Northern island settlements developed techniques for extreme winter conditions, while southern regions focused on heat and humidity management. Japanese had created regionally customized versions of their core adaptive principles that maintained optimal sleep quality regardless of local environmental extremes. Modern research validates Japanese seasonal adaptation principles through studies showing that people who adjust their sleep environment seasonally achieve better rest quality than those maintaining static conditions. Dr. Thomas Canterman's chronobiology research demonstrates that seasonal flexibility in sleep timing and environment produces superior circadian rhythm alignment and overall health outcomes. Japanese had institutionalized these adaptive principles across their entire culture, creating population-wide sleep optimization that modern sleep medicine is only beginning to understand. The fourth dimension of Japanese sleep mastery was social engineering that transformed the constraint of limited space into an advantage for sleep quality and family bonding. They discovered that communal sleeping arrangements, when properly organized, created security, warmth, and psychological comfort that enhanced rather than disrupted individual rest. Archaeological evidence reveals family sleeping systems so sophisticated they solve problems modern bedroom design still struggles with. Traditional Japanese household sleeping arrangements accommodated multiple generations within minimal space while maintaining individual comfort and family harmony. Excavations of Edo period merchant houses show rooms that served multiple functions during the day and transformed into sleeping areas for 6 to 8 family members at night. These weren't cramped conditions but carefully orchestrated spatial arrangements that maximized both physical comfort and social cohesion. Archaeological analysis of family sleeping patterns reveals strategic positioning based on age, health needs, and family hierarchy that optimized warmth distribution and security while respecting individual privacy requirements. Grandparents typically slept nearest the heat source, providing them optimal warmth while positioning them to respond to family needs during the night. Parents occupied central positions that allowed supervision of children while maintaining intimacy. Children were arranged by age and temperament to minimize disruption while ensuring security and comfort. Dr. Emiko Onuki-Tierney's research on traditional Japanese family structures reveals that these sleeping arrangements weren't just practical necessity, but deliberate social engineering that strengthened family bonds while optimizing sleep quality. Historical records describe family sleeping practices that reduced anxiety, provided security, and created the psychological conditions necessary for deep rest, even in uncertain times. The space efficiency of Japanese sleeping arrangements demonstrates engineering principles that modern small space design rarely achieves. Archaeological evidence shows room configurations that maximized sleeping capacity while maintaining air circulation, temperature control, and movement space necessary for comfort. Futon storage systems allowed rapid transformation from living to sleeping areas without compromising either function. Flexible space conversion techniques turned single rooms into optimal sleeping environments through modular furniture and storage systems that anticipated modern space-saving design by centuries. Historical household inventories show furniture that served multiple purposes and could be reconfigured based on seasonal needs, family size changes, and specific sleeping requirements. Japanese had mastered the art of adaptive space utilization that modern urban living struggles to achieve. Privacy management within communal sleeping spaces reveals sophisticated understanding of psychological needs that enhanced, rather than compromised, individual rest quality. Archaeological evidence shows the use of portable screens, fabric dividers, and strategic positioning that created personal space within shared areas. These arrangements provided the security benefits of family proximity, while maintaining the individual territory necessary for psychological comfort during sleep. The temperature regulation advantages of family sleeping arrangements provided practical benefits that modern individual bedrooms rarely achieve. Body heat sharing created natural warming that reduced the need for external heating while maintaining optimal sleeping temperatures through human thermal regulation. Historical records describe family sleeping arrangements that remained comfortable during winter conditions that would challenge modern heating systems. Security benefits of communal sleeping provided psychological advantages that enhanced sleep quality through reduced anxiety and vigilance. In an era when physical security was a constant concern, family sleeping arrangements ensured that someone was always aware of potential threats while allowing individuals to achieve the deep sleep necessary for restoration. Archaeological evidence from frontier regions shows family sleeping arrangements specifically designed to provide security while maintaining comfort. Modern research validates Japanese communal sleeping principles through studies showing that people who sleep near trusted others experience reduced stress hormones and improved sleep quality compared to isolated sleepers. Dr. Helen Ball's co-sleeping research at Durham University demonstrates that family proximity during sleep provides measurable benefits for both psychological well-being and physical health outcomes. Cultural sleep practices revealed in historical records show that Japanese families developed sophisticated etiquette and behavioral codes that maximize the benefits of shared sleeping while minimizing potential disruptions. These weren't informal arrangements, but carefully structured social practices that ensured communal sleep enhanced, rather than compromised, individual rest quality. The decline of traditional Japanese sleeping practices following Western influence coincides with documented increases in sleep disorders and family relationship problems in modern Japan. Contemporary Japanese sleep research shows that families maintaining traditional sleeping arrangements achieve better rest quality and stronger family bonds than those adopting Western individual bedroom practices. Japanese had created social sleep technology that modern family design has largely abandoned. Japanese achieved perfect sleep adaptation through micro-environmental mastery, modular natural materials that adjusted to any climate, systematic seasonal modifications that worked with environmental extremes, and social arrangements that maximized both comfort and space efficiency. Pure adaptive genius that turned constraints into advantages. But even Japanese adaptation mastery pales beside the most extreme sleep challenge ever conquered. In the harshest environment on Earth, Viking warriors and farmers achieved something that defies belief: perfect sleep while surrounded by deadly enemies in freezing conditions that would kill most modern humans. Their survival sleep secrets might save your life. Picture sleeping soundly while enemy raiders could attack at any moment. Imagine achieving deep, restorative sleep in temperatures that drop to -40 degrees Celsius, with only animal skins for protection and wooden walls that barely block Arctic winds. Consider falling asleep peacefully when a single mistake could mean death for your entire family, and the nearest help is months away across frozen seas. This was the nightly reality for Vikings throughout Scandinavia. Yet archaeological evidence reveals they achieved superior sleep quality under conditions that would leave modern survival experts awake with terror. Archaeological excavations across Viking settlements from Iceland to Greenland reveal sleeping arrangements that had to function during 6-month winter nights in the most hostile environment humans had ever attempted to colonize. Sites like Lanzo Meadows in Newfoundland show evidence of Vikings sleeping peacefully in conditions so extreme that modern Arctic researchers require heated shelters and constant supply lines to survive temporarily. Vikings not only survived, they thrived, producing children, conducting trade, and maintaining complex societies while achieving the deep sleep necessary for physical and mental health. Dr. Birgitta Wallace's excavations at Viking settlements in the North Atlantic reveal the scope of this achievement. Skeletal remains from sites across Greenland and Iceland show bone density patterns and growth markers consistent with people who experience consistent, high-quality sleep, despite living in conditions that modern sleep medicine would consider impossible for rest. These weren't short-term survival situations, they were permanent settlements, where families raised children and maintained communities for centuries under the most challenging sleep conditions in human history. Contemporary Islamic and Byzantine accounts describe Viking sleep patterns with amazement. Ahmad ibn Fadlan's detailed observations of Viking river traders note their ability to fall asleep instantly, despite constant threats from hostile tribes and environmental dangers. Byzantine chronicles describe Viking mercenaries who slept soundly in military camps under conditions that kept other soldiers awake with anxiety. Vikings had somehow solved the fundamental survival paradox, achieving the vulnerability of deep sleep while surrounded by mortal danger. The biological evidence of Viking sleep mastery appears in skeletal analysis from burial sites across Scandinavia. Dr. Maja Krzyvinska's genetic research on Viking remains shows stress hormone patterns indicating consistent restorative sleep despite life conditions that would trigger chronic anxiety in modern populations. bone growth patterns reveal optimal growth hormone release during sleep phases. Dental analysis indicates stable circadian rhythms maintained even during the extreme light variations of Arctic latitudes. Archaeological evidence from Viking longhouses reveals sleeping arrangements designed around the assumption that perfect sleep was achievable even under siege conditions. Excavations show sleeping platforms positioned for optimal security while maintaining comfort. Weapon storage integrated into sleeping areas allowed instant response to threats without disrupting family rest. Vikings had engineered their living spaces around the principle that survival depended on achieving quality sleep rather than sacrificing rest for vigilance. The contrast with contemporary European sleeping practices becomes stark in comparative analysis. Medieval accounts describe constant anxiety about nighttime attacks, poor sleep quality due to security concerns, and chronic exhaustion from inadequate rest. Vikings somehow achieved the opposite: superior sleep quality that enhanced rather than compromised their survival capabilities. Modern sleep research confirms that the stress of constant vigilance severely disrupts sleep architecture. Yet Vikings managed to achieve deep, restorative sleep while maintaining the awareness necessary for survival. Their accomplishment represents the ultimate mastery of sleep under impossible conditions. The first Viking breakthrough was transforming the vulnerability of sleep into a collective security advantage through communal arrangements that provided both physical protection and psychological comfort. They discovered that sleeping together wasn't just about warmth. It was about creating human early warning systems that allowed individuals to achieve deep rest while maintaining community vigilance. Archaeological excavations at Jorvik and other major Viking settlements reveal sleeping platforms designed for 15 to 20 people, arranged in carefully calculated positions that maximized both security and comfort. These weren't random communal arrangements, but precisely engineered social sleep systems where each person's position served specific security and comfort functions. Excavations show sleeping areas positioned so that the most experienced warriors occupied strategic locations near entrances and weapon storage, while families with children held protected interior positions. Dr. Richard Hall's research on Viking Age York reveals sleeping arrangements that functioned as sophisticated rotation systems where community members maintained vigilance in overlapping shifts, while others achieved deep sleep. Archaeological evidence shows that Viking sleeping platforms were constructed with specific sight lines to entrances and approaches, allowing sleeping individuals to maintain awareness of potential threats without compromising rest quality. This wasn't paranoid vigilance, but calculated security engineering that enhanced rather than disrupted sleep. The psychological benefits of Viking communal sleeping created what modern sleep psychology recognizes as optimal conditions for parasympathetic nervous system activation necessary for deep sleep. Research by Dr. Matthew Walker demonstrates that perceived safety is the fundamental prerequisite for quality sleep. Vikings achieved this through human proximity that provided both actual security and psychological comfort. Archaeological evidence shows sleeping arrangements where individuals were never more than arm's reach from trusted allies, creating the sense of safety necessary for complete rest. Viking communal sleeping systems included sophisticated protocols for managing different sleep schedules and individual needs while maintaining collective security. Saga literature describes household arrangements where different family members maintained watch duties on rotating schedules, ensuring continuous vigilance while allowing everyone to achieve necessary deep sleep phases. Archaeological evidence from longhouse excavations shows sleeping areas designed to accommodate these rotation systems without disrupting others' rest. The warmth benefits of Viking group sleeping provided survival advantages that individual sleeping arrangements couldn't match in Arctic conditions. Shared body heat allowed survival in temperatures that would be fatal for isolated sleepers, while communal breathing created humidity that prevented the respiratory problems associated with extremely dry, cold air. Archaeological analysis of Viking sleeping areas shows evidence of strategic positioning that maximized heat sharing while maintaining individual comfort and movement space. Modern research validates Viking intuitions about communal sleeping benefits through studies showing that people sleeping near trusted others experience reduced stress hormones, improved immune function, and enhanced sleep quality compared to isolated sleepers. Dr. Helen Ball's co-sleeping research demonstrates that human proximity during sleep provides measurable psychological and physiological benefits that Vikings had discovered through survival necessity. Viking communal sleeping arrangements included sophisticated noise management that enhanced rather than disrupted individual rest quality. Archaeological evidence suggests that Viking communities developed cultural practices around sleep etiquette that minimize disruptions while maintaining the social cohesion necessary for survival. Saga literature references sleeping protocols that balanced individual needs with community requirements, creating social sleep systems that optimized rest for entire communities. The security advantages of Viking group sleeping extended beyond immediate physical protection to psychological benefits that enhanced sleep quality through reduced anxiety and hypervigilance. In environments where solitary individuals faced certain death, communal sleeping arrangements provided the assurance that threats would be detected and addressed collectively. This shared responsibility allowed individuals to achieve the deep sleep necessary for physical recovery and mental health. Archaeological evidence from Viking frontier settlements shows communal sleeping arrangements specifically adapted to extreme threat environments where survival depended on collective vigilance. Excavations at sites like Greenland's Western Settlement reveal sleeping systems designed around the assumption of constant external threats, yet arranged to provide optimal comfort and rest quality for community members. Vikings had solved the fundamental security sleep paradox through social engineering. The decline of communal sleeping traditions following Christianization and medieval social changes coincides with documented increases in sleep anxiety and security-related sleep disorders across Northern Europe. Vikings had created social sleep technology that provided both survival advantages and enhanced rest quality, technology that subsequent cultures largely abandoned in favor of individual privacy that often compromised both security and sleep quality. The second Viking innovation was thermal engineering that achieved optimal sleeping temperatures using only natural materials and body heat management in conditions where modern heating systems would fail. They discovered that surviving Arctic cold wasn't about generating more heat, it was about trapping and circulating existing warmth through sophisticated insulation and ventilation techniques that maintained perfect sleeping temperatures while conserving precious energy resources. Archaeological analysis of Viking bedding systems reveals layered insulation techniques that anticipated modern cold weather gear by over a millennium. Excavations at sites across Iceland and Greenland show evidence of sleeping arrangements using multiple animal hide layers arranged in specific sequences that created graduated insulation zones. Bear skins provided outer wind protection, wolf pelts offered intermediate insulation, and sheep hides created soft inner layers that trapped body heat while wicking moisture away from skin contact. Dr. Elsa Rosedahl's research on Viking material culture reveals the sophisticated selection and preparation of sleeping materials that optimized thermal performance through natural fiber properties. Archaeological analysis shows that Vikings processed animal hides using techniques that preserved insulating air pockets while creating water-resistant surfaces that prevented heat loss through moisture. Wool processing created textiles with precisely controlled density that provided insulation without weight that would restrict movement during sleep. Viking thermal management extended to architectural innovations that concentrated and circulated body heat through passive systems that required no external energy sources. Excavations of Viking longhouses show sleeping platforms positioned to capture and direct heat from central hearths, while preventing dangerous heat loss through wall and floor contact. Archaeological evidence reveals sophisticated understanding of thermal dynamics that position sleeping areas to maximize radiant heat benefits while avoiding direct exposure that could cause overheating or fire hazards. The ventilation aspects of Viking thermal systems demonstrate remarkable understanding of air circulation principles that prevented the carbon dioxide buildup and humidity problems that could be fatal in sealed cold weather shelters. Archaeological excavations show carefully calculated air gaps and ventilation channels that maintained fresh air circulation while preventing heat loss. Vikings had discovered the precise balance between insulation and air exchange necessary for both survival and sleep quality in extreme cold conditions. Strategic body positioning within Viking sleeping arrangements created human heating systems that maximized shared warmth while maintaining individual comfort and movement freedom. Archaeological evidence suggests sleeping protocols that positioned community members based on body size, age, and heat generation to create optimal temperature distribution across group sleeping areas. Children and elderly members occupied central positions where they received maximum warmth, while healthy adults formed perimeter zones that provided heat generation and cold protection. Modern cold weather research validates Viking thermal management principles through studies showing that their layered insulation and group warming techniques achieve superior heat retention compared to individual sleeping systems even with modern synthetic materials. Military cold weather survival training now teaches group warming principles that Vikings had perfected through necessity, demonstrating that their thermal engineering remains relevant for extreme conditions. Viking understanding of moisture management prevented the potentially fatal problems of overheating and sweating that can lead to hypothermia when perspiration freezes against the body. Archaeological analysis of Viking textiles shows material selections and arrangements designed to wick moisture away from skin while maintaining insulation properties even when damp. This moisture control was critical for maintaining warmth and preventing the heat loss that occurs when insulation becomes saturated. The efficiency of Viking thermal systems allowed survival and comfort using only renewable natural resources that could be replaced through hunting and gathering activities. Unlike modern heating systems that require external energy sources and complex supply chains, Viking thermal management functioned entirely through materials available in their immediate environment. This sustainability was crucial for maintaining long-term settlements in isolated Arctic locations. Archaeological evidence from Viking exploration sites shows thermal management systems that functioned effectively during extended expeditions where groups carried all their sleeping materials while traveling through unknown Arctic territories. Excavations at temporary campsites reveal sleeping arrangements that provided adequate warmth and comfort using only portable materials that expedition members could carry without compromising travel speed or combat readiness. The integration of thermal management with security requirements created sleeping systems that maintained optimal temperatures while allowing rapid response to threats. Archaeological evidence shows that Viking thermal systems could be abandoned or reorganized quickly if security situations required immediate movement, yet provided sufficient comfort for restorative sleep during safe periods. This flexibility was essential for survival in environments where conditions could change rapidly and unpredictably. The fourth dimension of Viking sleep mastery was biological adaptation to extreme light variations that would destroy most people's circadian rhythms. They achieved consistent, high-quality sleep during 6-month periods of near-total darkness and 6-month periods of continuous daylight, environmental conditions so extreme that modern Arctic researchers require careful medical monitoring to prevent psychological breakdown and sleep disorders. Archaeological evidence from high-latitude Viking settlements reveals architectural features specifically designed to manage the circadian disruption that accompanies extreme seasonal light variations. Excavations in northern Iceland and Greenland show longhouse construction with sophisticated light control systems that created artificial darkness during midnight sun periods and preserved available light during polar night conditions. These weren't simple window coverings, but engineered light management systems that maintained sleep timing despite environmental chaos. Dr. Ori Vesteinson's research on Viking settlement patterns reveals adaptation strategies that maintained consistent sleep schedules across latitudes where seasonal light variations become increasingly extreme. Archaeological evidence shows that Vikings developed regional variations of their core sleep practices that compensated for local environmental challenges while preserving the fundamental biological rhythms necessary for health and survival. Viking light adaptation included the strategic use of artificial lighting that supplemented natural rhythms without disrupting melatonin production cycles. Archaeological excavations show evidence of oil lamps and torches used according to specific timing protocols that maintain circadian alignment even during periods of extreme darkness. These lighting practices anticipated modern light therapy techniques by demonstrating that properly timed artificial light could maintain biological rhythms when natural light was inadequate. The biological success of Viking light adaptation appears in skeletal evidence showing consistent growth patterns and bone density markers despite living in light conditions that modern research associates with serious health problems. Seasonal affective disorder, vitamin D deficiency, and circadian rhythm disorders that plague modern Arctic populations left no trace in Viking remains, suggesting they had discovered biological adaptation techniques that prevented the negative health impacts of extreme light variations. Viking understanding of sleep timing flexibility allowed them to maintain optimal rest patterns while adapting to the practical requirements of Arctic survival. Saga literature describes sleeping schedules that varied seasonally but maintained core biological rhythms that supported physical and mental health. Archaeological evidence suggests that Vikings treated sleep timing as adaptable rather than fixed, adjusting schedules to match environmental conditions while preserving the sleep architecture necessary for restoration. Modern chronobiology research validates Viking adaptation principles through studies showing that flexible sleep timing can maintain circadian health better than rigid schedules that fight environmental conditions. Dr. Till Roeneberg's research demonstrates that people who adapt their sleep timing to match seasonal light variations achieve better circadian alignment and overall health than those maintaining identical schedules year-round. Vikings had discovered these adaptive principles through survival necessity centuries before scientific validation. The social coordination aspects of Viking sleep timing created community rhythms that supported individual biological adaptation while maintaining the collective scheduling necessary for survival activities. Archaeological evidence suggests that Viking communities developed shared sleep protocols that balanced individual circadian needs with community security and work requirements. This social biological engineering ensured that adaptation strategies enhanced rather than compromised community survival. Viking pharmaceutical knowledge included the use of natural substances that supported circadian adaptation during extreme light conditions. Archaeological evidence shows the use of specific herbs and natural compounds that modern research recognizes as having circadian regulatory properties. These weren't recreational substances but carefully administered biological tools that supported adaptation to environmental conditions that would otherwise disrupt healthy sleep patterns. The psychological resilience aspects of Viking light adaptation demonstrate sophisticated understanding of the mental health challenges associated with extreme environmental conditions. Saga literature describes cultural practices and social structures that supported individual psychological adaptation while maintaining community morale during challenging seasonal periods. This psychological engineering was crucial for preventing the depression and anxiety that extreme light conditions can trigger. Archaeological evidence from Viking trading expeditions shows biological adaptation techniques that functioned effectively during long-distance travel across multiple latitude zones. Vikings maintained healthy sleep patterns while traveling from Greenland to Constantinople, crossing environmental conditions that would challenge modern travelers even with pharmaceutical support. Their adaptation mastery allowed them to function effectively across the broadest geographical range of any pre-modern civilization, while maintaining the sleep quality necessary for complex navigation, trading, and military activities. Vikings conquered the ultimate sleep challenge through survival engineering, communal security systems that transformed vulnerability into collective strength, thermal management that achieved warmth without external energy, and biological adaptation that maintained healthy rhythms despite impossible environmental extremes. They proved that perfect sleep is possible anywhere with the right techniques. From medieval peasants to Roman engineers, Japanese masters to Viking survivors, history's greatest sleepers shared one crucial insight. Perfect sleep isn't about expensive technology or ideal conditions. It's about understanding human biology and working with it rather than against it. These forgotten civilizations achieved superior rest through community, natural materials, environmental adaptation, and biological wisdom we've somehow abandoned for artificial solutions that barely work. The skeletal evidence doesn't lie. Our ancestors slept better than we do. Maybe it's time we remembered how.